Hi, my name is Dan Zeilinger, and I have been a world-traveling full-time trad jazz musician for the past 40 years. Some of my most memorable performances were on the lawn of the Edinburgh Castle, at Imperial Palace in Japan, as well as TV shows and commercials across the world. I've met many people during my career and have spent many hours on stage and off with these musicians, talking about jazz, life, and more. Some are touring musicians, some are theme park warriors, and some are casual musicians who play on the weekends with friends. I think they all have stories worthy of a movie script, and through these interviews, I'll be sharing them with you.
Hi there, this is Dan Zeilinger with Trad Jazz Today, and my next guest is an up-and-coming piano player. Although I know he doesn't feel that young, for the rest of us old guys, he helps lower our age range substantially. And he comes and plays with us at Curly's Cafe quite often, and he's been now guests appearing with a lot of different trad bands and just regular jazz bands. And I know that he has a firm hold on the Italian-American community, along with playing. He's been playing with some real legends, and I'm kind of interested to see what he has to say about it. Here he is. Let's see if I can do this. His name is Roberto Pasquariello. Close?
Close. That was close.
I don't want to call you Pastigello. Pasquariello. Say it.
Yeah, Pasquariello. Yeah.
I mean, say it proper with the accent and everything.
Pasquariello.
There it is. There it is, which is great. You should carry around the accent all the time and tell people you're from Milan or something.
Thanks.
Now, where's your family lineage from?
No, it's from the south of Italy, close to Naples, close to Pompeii, close to Sorrento.
You guys are in the tip of the boot, or?
No, it's not quite that. It's not quite down that far.
You're not to Sicily yet.
No. But it's around. You ever heard of the old the volcano Vesuvius? It's right
absolutely.
around there.
Have I heard of the volcano Vesuvius? Yeah.
It's right around there. That's the area.
Okay. And how many generations how many generations departed or removed are you from?
Well, my dad comes from Italy. He comes from a place is called Castellammare di Stabia. And he moved here in maybe around 1987, 1986.
So your ties are still very strong.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know that you go back and visit often.
Oh yeah. I don't have any Italian family here. They're all back in Italy.
Or in New York. No, I'm just kidding.
No. Actually, some in New Jersey. You're right. Some in New Jersey. Yeah.
Hey, listen, Roberto, I fix you up. You come over. Pretty cool. And of course, I've met your mother, who's just a blast.
At the expo, right?
Yeah, at the expo, right?
Yes.
I had a chance to play with a band that was representing Bob's Red Mill grains and products, and I found out that Robert's mom also was dealing with an health food idiom, and we sort of ran into each other. I was parading down the middle of the aisle with this Dixieland band, and then there he stood.
Yeah.
What are you doing here? What are you doing here? It was an interesting moment in our lives. So you never know who you're going to run into where.
No.
You were born in Culver City?
Yes.
Oh, okay. And you went to Hamilton High?
Yeah. How did you know that? Did I put that in?
Well, I did research on you, buddy. I do research on my interviews. Anything I can find and dig up dirt, I call old schoolmates and teachers, and I'm kidding. But
yeah, actually, I was born. Probably you've never heard this before from one of your interviewers. I was actually born at home.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. I've never asked that. So I take it you weren't a C-section.
No.
My wife's a pediatric nurse. Is the only reason
Okay. Yeah.
I say I jest.
Well, it's pretty rare these days, find someone born at home.
It is. It's funny. I used to play with Conrad Janis in the Beverly Hills Unlisted every so often, and they used to tell a joke over the microphone saying that back here today, I'm sitting on tuba is Dan Zeilinger, and he was a cesarean born, and I had no idea. And he said, he said, it really doesn't matter, except for the fact he gets out of his car through the sunroof. It was actually a comedy writer who played guitar in that band. And
Oh wow.
he had a million of them,
Very funny.
What can I say? You're welcome to use that. It's the old country. I've got dozens of jokes, as you know, having to sit next to me.
Yes.
Which I apologize for in advance.
No, it's fine.
And so now, did you have any music while you were in school? Were you in the choir or?
Yeah, I was in the
High school?
choir. I took it in Hamilton High School. They also had a piano class.
Yeah, no offense, you didn't come off like a band kid. You seem like you'd be a choir guy.
Yeah, I was in the choir.
Seriously, there are types, as we know.
Yeah. I was in the choir. I also was in the piano class. They had like a piano class, and they
Is
had
that where you
different
started?
levels. No, I started playing piano before that.
Okay, so were either of your parents musically talented or your relatives?
No.
They just had a piano laying around.
No, they didn't have a piano laying around. I started to sing first, and then my singing teacher also was teaching another student piano, and I saw him play at her recital, and I was singing, and he was playing, and I went to the teacher. I said, well, I want to learn how to play too. So then that's when my parents got a piano.
Well, good deal. I've been posting those little slideshows of the Curly's things, and I'm actually working on a Dozen Roses right now.
Oh, really?
So I've got you.
The one that we did? You mean I was there?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So I've got your voice going through my head because I've been working on the presentation.
I was just thinking about that song.
It's a great tune, and I'd never heard of it before.
Yeah, it's nice with the Harry James Orchestra.
Okay. I was wondering where you got it. Not that I was going to ask necessarily.
Actually, as a side note, funny story is my dad used to work on the cruise ships. I think maybe in the 70s or something, Harry James ended up on the cruise ships, and he was on my dad's ship for 3 months.
Yeah.
And my dad has a picture of him. It says, my dad's name is Gino, and it says, to Gino, my friend, love Harry, and he got a picture from Harry James.
Well, that's it. That's interesting. A trombone player that I played with for a very long time, a guy named Chuck Anderson, was actually on the Harry James Orchestra at that time, and he passed away a couple of years ago. But we've talked about him on some of my other interviews, and there's a great cut of the Harry James band on YouTube when he did a show called the Merv Griffin Show. It was a talk show.
Okay.
And they show the band, they show this guy Chuck, and they show Harry. And so anyway, that's just kind of, it's really interesting as I do all of these interviews, that the interconnectivity between jazz players and families, and it's really a small community while being huge. I know that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. But
at certain moments in time, they kind of all know each other. Now, did you really go to Louisiana for college?
Yeah,
there's a Loyola right in Westchester.
I know.
My dad used to work there, is why I know that.
Yeah, I live right over here, right the 2 blocks down. Well,
in the flight path, yeah.
Yeah. I went to the New Orleans, right there. And it turned out to be, I guess it was because of the good deal I got.
Did you want a scholarship or?
Yeah.
Oh, well, good for you. Another silly thing. I know this interview is about you, but another interesting thing. My dad worked at Loyola Marymount right there in Westchester, and I could have had a free ride going to that college because he worked there, and I didn't take it because I didn't like their instrumental music program. They had a great theater program, they had a great vocal program, but no jazz band, no marching band, and I went, stupid,
Well, Loyola New Orleans is the only Jesuit school. I don't know, it might have changed now, but when I went, it was the only Jesuit school with a separate college of music. It might be different now, but it was.
Okay. So you went there was it a piano scholarship?
No, it was like a half academic and half, I guess you would say, I guess it was considered a voice.
Well, you have a wonderful voice. I don't doubt it. And it's evident that you're a trained singer as opposed to
Thanks.
people like me, you know. It's funny when I sing at Curly's, the first time I think you heard me, you turned around and you go, "How long have you been singing that song?"
Really?
I think it was like Porter's Love Song or something,
Oh,
or
okay.
one of those
Oh,
Waller
that's a nice
tunes.
song. I do like that song. Yeah.
Yeah, or one of those Waller tunes, and either you were shocked because I sang it so poorly or because I knew the song.
No, I think I was asking because you knew it so well, and that's why I think I was asking that.
But you tend to like Waller tunes also,
Yeah, yeah,
of course,
it's true. It's true.
and you have a real fondness for traditional jazz. How did that happen?
Well, I don't know. I think I always liked it, but one time I heard, like a guy playing he just came over to my house. He was a friend, and he started playing The Entertainer, Scott Joplin.
Sure.
Thought, oh man, yeah. I was like, yeah, that's cool, And I don't know, it kind of morphed from there, I guess. Just
Well,
Scott
a lot of
Joplin.
guys come in that way, especially classically trained musicians. Well, here,
Yeah.
if you watch my interview with the Hungarian gentleman, Thomas Istas, he talks about his way into jazz. Of course, he was a classically trained violinist and teaches violin at the university in Hungary. But and then he discovered ragtime,
Uh-huh.
and that led him into other forms of jazz, and so it's common.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I always liked it. I heard it, I heard it at Disneyland, that kind of thing, but I never knew what it was called. But then when my friend played it, then I found Scott Joplin, and then soon after I found Jelly Roll Morton, and then I think that's yeah.
Okay, well, you of course, because I sit behind you often, I've actually sort of thrown some recommendations and questions at you throughout as long as we've known each other, which I know gets annoying, but
No, I've forgotten all your recommendations.
well, no, I've just always, you know what, but you know what I mean. I'm always interested in helping. Like when Zane Johnson, I've interviewed Zane for this show also,
Uh-huh.
and it's just really nice to see people coming up who enjoy the classic styles of jazz.
Yeah,
And you want to promote it as one of his old timers, of course.
yeah, right.
You know, so we went through ragtime, and then what was it? How was your musical evolution after that? What did you start listening
Well,
to?
I this is what happened. I bought this Scott Joplin CD, and on the CD it had some link to like another CD, and I played a tune, and it was Jelly Roll Morton's Shreveport Stomp. So then when I heard that, I thought, wow, that's ragtime's good, but this is better.
Well, and that Shreveport Stomps is pretty akin in some ways.
Yeah, it is.
It's in one of those form tunes that has kind of ragtime form to it, although it's not quite as march based.
No, and it was just a little bit different that I felt like it was a little bit more better. I just thought it was more like groovy, so to speak.
I know that you spend a lot of times visiting jazz clubs and doing those things that's I'm sure have been a great education in a lot of ways, and some things to stay away from, obviously. But
you mean the different jazz clubs around the area
right,
here?
Right.
Yeah.
What we call jazz clubs, which
yeah.
Well, you know what I'm saying. It's jazz societies would be probably a better word for it.
Right.
And of course, I've seen you in almost every one of those in Southern California, either playing or listening to players.
Yeah. Well, I like to go on. Sometimes Sundays is like there's not much to do, right? So I feel like it's a good place to go and.
Well, you can say that sheepishly, but I know that you actually were on the board for the one in South Bay.
Oh yes, right.
So
yeah, I had been part of that one maybe since about 2000 and it could be even 2005 or something like that. It's been a while.
Yeah, and I haven't been there since they changed locations.
So. It hasn't been too long since we changed locations. We started in the new location. Maybe we had 3 or 4 meetings, and then this pandemic happened. So.
Yeah, I understand. But so along with fondness for Fats Waller, who else do you listen to or emulate, or what tunes do you like to sing?
Well, I would say I would say I like Fats Waller, but I would say my first would be Jelly Roll Morton. I like him probably more than Fats Waller, and then Fats Waller, and then I also kind of like the big band stuff too, the Harry
Sure.
James, Glenn Miller, and
Are you a Harold Arlen fan?
I like his songs. Yes, the ones that I've heard. Yeah, the thing is, once you start to listen to some of these tunes, like I don't know if you knew that, like Frank Sinatra sang with Harry James Band and
Oh,
Benny
sure.
Goodman in the early days, and some of these songs that they do, or he sang with Tommy Dorsey, I think, and some of these songs that they do, two or three of them have you notice they have the same writers, and it's like they sound so good, and they have the same writers.
Oh, well, that's true. That's kind of one of the signatures that you learn. In fact, playing down at Curly's, of course, we have certain composers that CJ likes to play all the time.
Like Walter Donaldson. Yeah.
Walter Donaldson's a big one, and not a bad guy to like.
No, no.
So I mean, you come up with some pretty obscure things when you come down and bring your own tunes, and I love that. That's a good thing. But it's unusual for somebody your age. How old are you now?
31.
That you're a puppy. I know it doesn't feel that way, but in the world of early jazz players, that's pretty young, especially to have the kind of eclectic taste you do.
Yeah, well, this smart speaker stuff, Google Home, you've heard of that? So I have one of these Google Homes, and sometimes I would say play Fats Waller, and then all of a sudden it'll start playing Fats Waller, and it'll just keep going through songs, and it'll keep playing some other song by Fats Waller, and I say, what is that song? And it's a Fats Waller tune, but it's like no one's heard it.
Yeah, what's even crazier is when you do that type of thing, sometimes they'll stop playing Fats Waller and start playing other artists
that's true.
That they think are a similar genre.
Yeah, it's true. That happens too, yeah.
But yeah, tell me some of the Fats Waller tunes that surprised you.
Well, there's one called "Am I in Another World?" Well, he didn't write it, but he sang it. It's written by like Joseph Green and I forget the other person, but no one's heard him do that. I think we did that one time at Curly's. I don't know if you were there.
We might have that. That's one of the wonderful things about that band, is between CJ and Robbie Rhodes and some of the people that go through that band, we get some really unknown things.
Yeah,
which is fun.
Right.
For me.
Yeah, CJ has some really unknown tunes because they come from like 1919 or something. But some of these ones by Fats Waller come from like 1934, 35, and no one's really heard them because they weren't big hits for him.
Yeah, by the way, for the people who are listening who don't know us all that well, the Cherry Willow Band that plays at a little bar in Signal Hill, California, the leader is a guy named C.J. Sams, who actually comes out of the barbershop quartet world and concert bands, and he plays both cornet and tuba equally well and sings wonderfully. But because he comes out of the barbershop discipline, he'll come up with pop tunes from the turn of the century that none of us have ever heard. And then he researches them. And then the tunes that we do know that he brings up, he'll play the exact changes that were on the original sheet music, which is a real departure from what you learn as a casual musician at times.
Yeah, I do appreciate that about CJ. Well, I try to find the original sheet music for some of these old obscure tunes that I brought to him too. And some of them though, I've researched some songs like Lady Be Good, for instance, and I've seen that what most musicians play is a little bit different than what's been in the original sheet music, Yeah. Just slightly. It's not too much, but
I was talking to somebody about the bridge to Georgia, not the bridge, but the turnaround on Georgia on My Mind that everybody plays as a 251 or 16251, and it's not really written that way. I think I know who it was. I interviewed a tuba player who lives in Paris now, and we were talking about how regional bands from around the world tend to have different changes depending on who the main jazz influence was. Like the chord changes from the East Coast here in the United States are different from, I'm talking about casual band pickup changes, are different than the ones on the West Coast, or different than the ones in the South.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. And of course in Europe it's different too. Have you ever gotten a chance to play any jazz in Italy on your visits?
No, I
Oh,
haven't.
you should. It's really incredible
I
because the
haven't met
language.
anyone that haven't met when I've been in Italy. I haven't met anyone that plays that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I've been fortunate to do some touring overseas, and we were in Hungary playing, and so somebody said, "You want to sit in?" And I said, "Sure." And they got on stage and gave me 3 down and said "Dinah" and stomped it off. I mean, they didn't speak any English, but they knew how to show you what keys you were in. Of course, it's not E flat and B flat to them. They're using Latin terms for the key signatures.
Oh, so what key was it in?
Well, like B flat is SI flat.
Yes, right.
You know,
right.
C flat. I don't know if that's how they pronounce it, but so rather than just even giving a key orally, they would just do 3 down or 3 up, depending on what the key signatures are, 2 down, and then state the name of the tune, you know, and we'd be off. That was it. And it's great.
And
you should try and do that. You should try and search out a trad band next time you go over. They're around.
Yeah.
Trust me.
Wow. Were the chords what you would have expected them to be when you played with that band?
Not always, but then again, as you should know, I'm not a real chord historian.
Okay.
You know, no, I learned coming up pretty much I was thrown onto a stage and said, "Don't worry, you'll hear it,"
Okay.
which is the reason for some of my bass lines that you hear is I connect things linearly as opposed to change.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's an unfair question for me, just because I'm ignorant of the correct changes a lot of the time.
Okay. So you play, so you hear it, you listen more, yeah.
Well, which is odd for somebody who's spent their time teaching high school kids music, but there you have it. You know.
Yeah.
I've been talking to, I've been doing these interviews and talking to musicians for a long time about how they came into improvisation. And some came strictly from a theory standpoint, and some were just like me, thrown into the water and told to swim. How did improvisation happen for you?
It probably happened more from a theory perspective, yeah, because I did learn classical and I did learn, notes and
Well, that's not a bad thing, by the way.
No, right. No, I still feel like my improvisation is pretty poor, but it's probably best. It's probably from a theoretical point of view. Yeah.
Well, but once again, when I was actually learning to do this, I actually have had a little bit of guidance, like, older musicians with a stick hitting me in the side of the head, saying, do this. And a lot of it comes out just out on elaborating the melodic line first.
Yeah,
and you do that. You do that. You'll base your solos kind of around the melodic line.
Yeah, that's what I try to do.
It stays in your head, so you don't get lost. And when you play with some of these people, like if you play with Larry Wright, sometimes that's a challenge not to get lost because they're so creative.
Yes. Yes, it's very impressive. People like him who play so many instruments. Yeah.
Have you played with Les Deutsch yet?
I think so. Yeah.
Because he's the same way. He plays every instrument extremely well.
Wow. Okay.
But
is he the one that plays the 2 saxophones? No.
No. That's Jim Rich.
Okay.
Yeah. But anyway, so it's really kind of crazy, the people you meet in the idiom. Now, I'm envious because you play a lot with Jake Stock.
Yes, Jay Stock.
Yeah, his older brother's a great trombone player.
Right.
And I actually met him when I was playing
Jackson.
in a trad band. I met him playing with the Hot Frogs Jumping Jazz Band, and he was playing trombone at the time.
Okay.
But then he's actually a very well-known studio player and bebop player and composer, arranger.
Yeah, because he graduated from, I think, Berkeley School of Music, and he's like such a intense background.
It's fun. It's kind of funny because he and I both ended up as composers on a couple modern jazz albums, which we didn't know at the time. We didn't realize that we had both done the same thing. But anyway, I love Jay. He's such a good guy.
Yes, he is. I heard, though, he told me, unfortunately, though, that his brother was kind of not really playing too much the trombone anymore and kind of cutting back.
I haven't talked to Jackson in a long time. But I'm thinking about asking Jay if he would like to interview for this,
Oh, he might.
Well, he's one of those intensely private people that are actually
this is
internally
true.
shy.
Yes.
And I've had a couple of those turn me down. Those guys who are musicians because they don't like to speak and they like to express themselves through their music. And I understand that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I tend to be just the opposite, but
Yeah.
that's beside the point.
Yes. 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 How do you come up with all your jokes that you utter?
Oh, some of it's right off the top of my head. I have when I get jobs, whether it be at a school system or with jazz bands, I warn the people who hire me ahead of time that my sense of humor is like a tick. I'm serious. I don't know how it happened, but a lot of those things just fall out of my mouth.
Okay.
And I apologize. And then a lot of it's just I have an incredible memory for humor. And I don't know what that is. I can't remember, chord changes or sometimes my phone number or my wife's birthday, but jokes are forever in my head.
Your wife's birthday, wow.
Well, that was kind of an extreme example, but unfortunately kind of true.
It seems like you and CJ always have this kind of, this banter back and forth, so it seems like it works.
Well, it's interesting. Improvisation and quick minds are kind of the same process at times because you have to think on your feet.
Yes.
And so I find out especially a lot of early jazz players, a couple of things that are pretty common is high tech. A lot of them for their day gigs, they made the living through extreme. Les Deutsch is still working for the Jet Lab Propulsion Laboratory. He's a rocket scientist, literally.
Wow.
And Chet Yeager was a math teacher. And a lot of these guys are extremely intelligent.
Yeah.
Which is kind of an interesting, not me, I'm the odd man out on all this. But.
Well, math and music do go together. Usually, I was pretty good at math too.
I was awful. So that says, and truthfully, other than just basic math, arithmetic, you start getting me into the higher levels of mathematics and
you're lost.
Oh yeah. No, I'm like a sheep herder with cows. So there's another example. It's just
yes. There you go. Yeah, that's the humor. Yeah, sheep herder with cows. Yeah.
Watch my interview I do with Bill Dendel, who's he's the guy who's a great jazz player, but he also runs the Sacramento Jazz Camp.
He plays what?
His name's Bill Dendel. He's on my interview.
Okay. What instrument does he play?
Banjo, trombone, guitar, and a little bit of everything. But
okay. Wow.
But but mostly banjo and guitar and trombone.
Okay.
And he's just hilarious. A lot of these musicians, Phil Andreen is
he's very funny.
A good example.
Very funny, yes.
I interviewed him. I think he was my second interview.
Yes, he's very funny.
And of course, he and I have known each other a while. So if you want to get some musician jokes.
No, yeah. I practiced with him one time in Jay's house, actually, Jay's garage, and he was going on for 30 minutes about all these different jokes.
Somebody was saying to me that it seems like he's always on. He's always on stage. But the truth, he was a trial lawyer, first of all.
Oh, yeah.
So you have to be able to think quickly and come up with ideas in your head.
Yeah, he has many lawyer jokes, yeah.
Oh, yes. Yes. My favorite one is, in fact, he says it on the interview. What do a lawyer and a trombone player have in common?
Oh, I didn't hear that.
Everybody loves it when the case is closed.
I don't know if I heard him do that, but that's good.
But good. He has several of them, yeah.
Yeah.
So what other the groups have you been playing with other than the jazz societies and Curly's and with Jay and
with Jay it's pretty much, and every now and then sometimes I play with also Sylvia Rodriguez, and
sure.
she play, she has her husband playing with her, and
I caught you. Remember we ended up on playing the that one. I was playing with them when you walked in one night.
Oh, where was that? I forgot.
At the Petroleum Club or?
Oh, exhibition room?
Exhibition room. There we go.
Oh, okay. Yes, I do remember. Yes.
Awful piano.
Awful. Terrible. Yes. It's like broken. It doesn't work really.
But they're a fun couple to play with, there.
Yes.
So
I think she calls them the Rhythm Boys.
Yes,
Sylvia and the Rhythm. Yeah.
How many times has Jay Stock called a tune that you didn't know? Ever?
Never, because we always do it ahead of time.
You put together a tune
And
list?
if yeah, yes, and if he does, actually, he has called the tune. I haven't known, but he always gives me the music. He'll hand me the lead sheet or something like that.
Well, and you are doing quite often. You're doing Italian tunes. I mean, you're doing like Don
Yeah,
Dimenticar and things that Julius LaRusso and some of the 50s Italian singers like to do.
yeah, yeah, like Tony Rennis. Yes, yes, people like that.
It's great
And even,
stuff.
I mean, Nat King Cole was singing Non Dimenticar too.
Well, that's actually where I heard it first, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But he sings it in English, and then his Italian is so poor, you know. but, but he has a nice voice, and it sounds.
oh, he has an incredible voice. In 1959, he was Downbeat's #1 piano player, #2 vocalist,
Oh wow.
which
Okay.
is kind of because a lot of the current people who know of Nat King Cole have never heard the Nat King Cole trio,
Yeah.
and he's unreal.
Yeah. Did you ever see him live?
No,
No.
I regret that. I haven't, and I didn't ever got to see Louis Armstrong live, or a lot of my contemporaries actually got to see these guys or even play with them. Yeah, I envy them that.
No, I mean, with Jay and I, it's really kind of like an organized thing. I mean, if he wants to do a song that I've never heard of, he'll tell me, and we'll
So
work it
he
out.
normally has a book in front of him?
Yes, we kind of work out of this one book, both of us. Actually, I found these books. It was by Dick Hyman. It's like called something like 100 Tunes You Should Know by Dick Hyman or something like that.
Now, he does a
And,
lot
and
of alternate changes in those books.
yes, sometimes
Or he'll
we,
notate above them,
yes, that's
a
right.
cooler way to do this.
Yeah, sometimes we try to play those, sometimes we don't. Well, more often it'll be me playing the alternate changes, and he'll just be soloing or something.
Sure. And what do you think about that? Some of those just too way out for you, or?
No, some of them are very nice, actually. Some of them are very nice, but then some of them don't really sound. They kind of sound kind of off, but some of them are pretty reasonable. Yeah, but then some of them are pretty way out. I think you're right.
Well, it's nice. Actually, I appreciated to see the thought process on some of those things.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a lot of people don't play the correct changes for things like Nagasaki, or even rhythm changes change, and that should be the simplest of tunes, but it depends on who you're playing with.
Well, I think like rhythm changes. People have a lot of other kind of variations they can do. You can do so many variations with that song. And if you really wanted to say, well, how did Gershwin really want this song to be played? What changes did he really wish? But after a while, it gets probably a little boring playing those basic, especially for that tune.
I don't know. You seem to like to do now that I'm starting to think this way, I'm going to completely forget the song I'm talking about.
Lady Be Good?
Huh?
Lady Be Good? No.
Yes. Yeah, that's another tune that should be simple in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And it doesn't bore you, it seems.
No, it doesn't. That's nice. But in the bridge, most people go up to the diminished chord, but I go up to the C7 because that's more original. I go up to the step up, not the diminished. And one time I played that with Corey Gem, actually. And I saw him turn to Larry Wright. I was playing with Larry Wright, Corey Gem, and me. And I saw him turn to Larry Wright, and I heard him just like he gave a weird look, like
What was that?
Played a rock. Yeah, what is that chord? And I heard Larry Wright say something like, "Well, that's the original chord," something like that.
Yeah.
So Corey Gem, who is so good, didn't know that it should be like that.
Yeah, for the longest time, Larry used to give me crap about the changes I played in Nagasaki on that descending line. So he's he's not a stickler necessarily, but he knows what's correct.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah, Corey's wonderful. So who else has been kind of your influences as you've waddled your way into classic jazz here?
You mean of the musicians out in
Either
LA?
currently or people you listen to, or who's made big impacts on you musically?
Well, I think actually probably like Fats Waller and the Stride people. You know,
Do you play
I,
stride?
well, also Chris Dawson. I took some lessons with Chris Dawson. Got a lot of pointers from him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do try. I do try to play stride, although maybe it doesn't seem like it. But
Well, no, it's not that. It's not that. I'm usually so busy trying to keep above water that I may not notice. I mean, I sit next to people like Robbie Rhodes who are stride maniacs, you know.
yes, right.
But and I just asked because I don't think I've ever heard you sit down, and I haven't heard you sit down and just play like a straight ragtime, for example.
Oh, okay, right.
Which I know you do, but
Yeah, I have.
that doesn't mean I
Yeah,
don't pay attention.
I guess I played less and less just like straight ragtime pieces or something. There was one time there's a piece by Fats Waller called like Handful of Keys. I remember one time a while ago I was trying to play the whole thing. And I think I kind of managed to play the whole thing, but it's been a long time since I've just played like a straight piece like that. You know?
It's a hard piece.
Yeah, it is.
Have you ever done Jitterbug Waltz?
No, but I've heard of that one.
Yeah. Yeah, obviously it's in 3, but it's another one of those kind of things people have a hard time getting a handle on.
Yeah, some of those stride pieces you really gotta spend a lot of time.
What's the most difficult piece you've had to tackle?
Well, I don't know what to say. Maybe I remember when I was learning some of these ragtime pieces, like not Maple Leaf Rag, but there was another rag after that I learned.
Like Black and White or one of those?
No, it was a Scott Joplin rag,
Okay.
but it was pretty difficult. But that was a while ago. I don't know. I haven't tried to play anything too difficult lately, but probably it might have been the Handful of Keys when I was doing it. Yeah.
No, I do enjoy the little live posts you give of you at home singing and playing your piano.
Yeah,
Just to let you know, there are people that are listening.
Yeah, I just came across this other tune called "Wishing." That's the one I posted recently, I think, and I heard Harry James and Frank Sinatra singing that one.
Yeah, it's not the same. You have to understand how fortunate you are, because if I come on as a solo sousaphone player, they immediately log off. I was talking to somebody who plays guitar, that the fact that they're so fortunate they can go to like a campfire or a campground, and you walk up with a sousaphone and people scatter.
Yeah, I mean, well, they'll probably look at you weird. Yeah, what do you do?
It's although I talked to my friend who is in Paris now, and he said he actually busked as a solo tuba player around Germany and things, and managed to make enough to live.
Yeah, it's probably more appreciated there. Yeah,
I guess, but I just think that's kind of an odd concept. A single, like if you were walking down the street and saw a single sousaphone player with a hat in front of him,
it would be a little bit odd, But even Phil Andreen told me he was busking with his trombone, and I think maybe his trombone and one other instrument in the streets of Paris. He said.
Yeah.
Yeah. He told you that story. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's done. Of course, you can always go to accordion. No, I'm kidding. But, well, for Italy, right? Accordion is a mainstay of Italian music, or at least concertina.
I guess when I was in Italy, though, I didn't see it.
Or did you try to avoid it?
No, honestly, I think that's a thing of the past. I think maybe they do it very little, but I think it's kind of a thing of the past.
Just for the tourists, you mean?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Well, listen, I'm going to wrap up our time here. Thank you so much for doing this.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Chance here to have any last thoughts or plug anything that you have to plug. I mean, upcoming gigs, or if you have any recordings that you're on that you want to tell people how to get a hold of.
Well, I'll be playing in El Segundo on August 14th at a Italian restaurant.
Which one?
De Luca. So it's on Richmond Street.
Is that with Jay again, or just?
Yeah.
That's great that you managed to get some work as a duo.
Yeah.
It's a lot cheaper than trying to book a band too, a whole band.
Well, this restaurant is not too big. I don't think a band would fit.
Well, that's okay. You stay mostly to you play mostly like Italian tunes, or are you?
Well, we do some Italian tunes because it's an Italian restaurant, and
That's what I'm asking. Yes.
yeah, we don't do. It's not all Italian music. No, we play. I would say more of the like the songs from the 100 songs by Dick Hyman that he suggests. You know, those kind of tunes.
Uh-huh.
Play like those songs. I guess you would call them more standards.
Sure.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that, you know.
Right. Right.
I mean, a lot of our very first gigs were done out of fake books, and the Hyman books wonderful because I'm sure you've seen those fake books that are put out for, and how awful some of those changes in melodic lines are written.
For the Dixieland tunes?
Well, for Dixieland tunes and even for bebop tunes and modern and other jazz tunes.
Yeah, some of them are a little off. Yeah.
They were just written for gigs where people would scratch them out and hand them out to their players at gigs, and they'd compile them in a book and start selling them out of their trunk.
Right.
So
I mean, it was very useful for you know the time, and you know how people needed them right away. It's very useful. You know?
no, I understand. It's nice to have something to hang your hat on.
Yes.
When you're stuck in front of an audience with tunes you don't know, of course.
Exactly.
Now CJ has a big book full of the actual tunes, which is really intimidating at times.
Yeah, he's taken a long time to put those together. Yeah.
He was fortunate enough, I was fortunate enough for him to loan me one of the books that I managed to use for my school. So I was teaching one of the jazz classes out of that, you know.
Yeah, where he has like different lead sheets for the different songs, right? Or where he's written them out himself, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But at least I know the changes are always too correct sometimes, you know.
Right. Yeah.
Well, Roberto, this has been fun. I'm so glad you agreed to do this, and it's nice to get to know you better than me just chiding away at you from behind at a gig. And who would know that one of Culver City's own would be an up and coming jazz pianist? So good for you.
Yeah, thank you.
And keep it up. You know, go through more, listen to more recordings, and learn more songs, and then you can make fun of the younger kids. No, I'm just kidding.
No, I don't have your kind of sense of humor.
I'm sorry. I'm glad you don't. Thank you, Roberto. You take care now.
Okay, thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you all for watching Trad Jazz Today with Dan Zeilinger. Make sure you subscribe and turn on the notification bell. Videos come out every Wednesday and Friday.